clicked on this video because you want to know the 3 mistakes that make a track boring, and I'm going to tell you them today, specifically about arrangement and keeping your house and garage tracks interesting. This video will specifically help you with arrangement, knowing when to take things in and out, and mindset tips so that you can approach arrangement with confidence. So make sure you like and subscribe if you want more FL Studio house music content. Let's get into it. Number 1, no change in energy. This is the first mistake I see in clients I work with when improving their arrangement. So let me give you a mindset tip to help you approach arrangement with confidence every single time. Arrangement equals energy. Think about it. What's the difference between your build up, your breakdown, and your drop? Your drop is full of energy. Your build up is fluctuating energy. You go from low energy to high energy because you're building up with all the snares. And then you've got the breakdown, which is like a cool off, lower energy. This is the first concept you need to grasp to make your arrangement interesting. From there, you just need to think of each section in terms of energy. So, 2 sections in a row of the exact same energy, boring. 2 sections in a row with fluctuating energy, interesting. A high energy and a medium energy section, interesting. Either way, staying at one set energy level kills your arrangement. So a couple solutions are, before you arrange, craft scenes of energy. So you have one scene of high energy, medium energy, low energy, breakdown, build up. You've got 5 scenes there. You've got 5 Lego blocks to then piece together. Or in your sections, have one set thing that fluctuates in energy. You can either have a filter cutoff, an LFO, anything that automates, that kind of varies how the element feels. This is what you want. Or you approach each section with the intention of creating different bits of energy. So short snappy sounds like drums or vocal chops will increase the energy, and long sustained sounds will decrease the energy. Number 2, elements that don't evolve. This one is way more straightforward. Quite simply, if you don't have variations, you don't have evolution. If one element stays the same throughout the whole track, it doesn't evolve, it gets static, the listener can predict what's going to happen, and that kills the energy. So, quite simply, you need multiple versions of main elements. If you do this with supporting elements, it might not be the most heard. So, focus on your main elements first, and then you can think about supporting elements. Let me give you some examples with a vocal. We have the main phrase,
I feel good, y'all. I'm just eating up.
a variation of the phrase,
I'm just eating up.
a repeated choppy version of the phrase, and a stretch version. By using all 4 of these strategically, we now have more from what we already had anyways. We didn't have to add anything new. Plugins like Tantra and Effectrix are great at creating these variations. A bonus tip, save one variation for the final build-up and the final drop. So in this final bit of the song, it's still unexpected and the listener can still make predictions. But make sure you use these bits strategically. Where does each variation suit different bits of the track? A stretch part of the vocal might really suit a long breakdown or a build-up, for example. You could also evolve chords. You might have a set of chords that play throughout the start of your track, and then in the middle of your track, add a couple notes so that the chords evolve. So you might have a triad chord, and then you might add a 7th to it as the chords progress. This works quite well in breakdowns actually. Let's say you start playing a set of chords in the breakdown to like slow things down, and then you add a couple notes as the breakdown progresses. This now gives the chord a different feeling, but it still stays true to what it originally was. Creating variation and creating a new feeling. This is the important thing with your evolutions. They need to give the listener a new feeling every time they hear it. If it's the same feeling, it might keep things interesting, but the listener wants to feel different with these new variations. That's what keeps you guessing. And the more they keep guessing, the more interested they are. You could also use filters, again, to open up and close these chords, or synths, and sort of have an LFO on the filter so that each time it's something just a little bit different. Either way, you're not just settling for one version of each element. You're making the most out of what you have with the intention of making the listener feel different with each variation. And finally, a lack of contrast. This is an important insight into how to make build-ups and breakdowns interesting, but also how to make the track not boring. Without contrast in your build-ups and breakdowns, the listener can't anticipate anything. Anticipating happens when you can't predict what's going on. Anticipation happens when you want to predict something. But predictions can't happen if you can already guess what's going to happen. So if things are predictable, there's no anticipation, there's no tension, everything's predictable, what do you do? In simple terms, when you take something away from the listener longs for that to come back. And teasing the return of these elements creates so much tension. Contrast is the best way to achieve this, in my opinion. By taking the listener to a different place than what they're used to, aka your drop, their predictions start to run wild, creating lots of anticipation for the return of the drop. From here, 60% of the tension building is done. The last 40% is your automation and your effects. So make sure you have a section in your track which creates a lot of contrast. Just enough so that it feels like a different place, but not too much that it feels like a different track altogether. By doing this, predictions run wild and people will anticipate the return of your drop, making your track really interesting both in headphones and on the dance floor. But make sure you keep things simple. Don't overcomplicate it. This can also make predictions harder to make. You want the predictions to be easy to make, but hard to guess. If you want to see another 3 tips like this, comment arrangement and I'll make another video like this. But make sure you like, subscribe, share this with someone who wants to improve their arrangements. Take care, guys.